Hey everyone, so glad you're here today. Get ready, sit back, relax, because things are about to get real. Let's dive right in. Story 1. My girlfriend cheated on me and all my friends knew. I met my girlfriend through my best mate. Let's call him Dave. He introduced me to his friend group, and I became part of it. My now ex-girlfriend, let's call her Emma, was also part of this group. There were 8 people in the group altogether. We were friends for a while. I liked her, and I found out she liked me. Asked her out. She said yes, and eventually we made it official. We were together for about 2, nearly 3 years, and I was honestly the happiest I've ever been. I thought we were perfect, we never argued, and overall, the relationship was great. Well, I thought it was. I was so happy, and in my mind, she was the one. I'd be thinking about it for a while, but I decided I was going to propose on our 3-year anniversary. I told Dave, and he was really happy for me. I wanted to arrange something romantic, like on the beach or something you see on YouTube of these perfect proposals. I wanted it to be something we remembered forever. I wanted all of my friends' help to arrange everything, so I arranged to see them all, excluding my girlfriend, and I told them I was planning to propose. I was expecting the excitement and happiness that Dave showed when I told him, but they all kind of looked at each other silently. I knew they were hiding something, it was obvious, so I asked what it was, and they all said it was nothing and then tried to pretend they were happy for me. But I asked them again, and one of the girls in the group just shouting out that Emma had been actively sleeping with a guy in the group, let's call him Mike, since we started dating. They were all giggling between each other like it was some sort of joke, which I thought it was to start with. Some really stupid, unfunny joke. I kind of laughed it off, but when I looked at Mike, he just said, "I'm sorry." And I could tell he wasn't joking. After a minute, it dawned on me that it was real, and not a joke. I stormed out. If I stayed in there any longer, I would have caused a scene. Dave followed me out and told me he had no clue, and I genuinely believe him. I still believe him now. He seemed just as surprised as I was. He let me hide out at his place for a while, just so I could process everything and keep away from everyone. When Emma found out I knew, she started blowing up my phone. She even turned up at the house, and Dave said he hadn't seen me and sent her away. Dave told me he was going to see them all again and see what actually happened. So he did. And he told me that Emma started sleeping with Mike 3 months into our relationship. And it was something that happened quite often. Multiple times a month the whole time we were together. And she told all her girlfriends in the group, and eventually everyone knew except me and Dave. And no one told me. No one cared that she was cheating on me for 2 years. The only they told me is because I was going to propose to Emma. If I didn't plan that, I still wouldn't know. I thought these people were my friends. I was so close to them. They were basically family. I spent most of my time outside of work with them. Anyway, her and Mike are together now, and they're all still friends. I still see their social media stories of them all hanging out, and they even tag me in them sometimes, probably just to rub it in my face. I should probably block them all, but I don't want them to know they're pissing me off. I'm obviously no longer friends with them, and Dave also cut them all off because of what they did. So I lost who I thought was going to be my wife, but I gained a friend for life, I guess. It sucks. It's been months since this happened, and it still hurts. I still want to cry so bad, but I've got to keep the no-cry streak going, lol. When will I actually get over this? Anyone able to speak from experience? Sorry if it's hard to read or seems unbelievable. It honestly sounds like one of them sad movie plots. Story 2. Would I be the a-hole for divorcing my wife after she cheated after her parents died? About a month ago, my wife's parents both died in a car crash. She has been an emotional mess. We live in her hometown, so we have been seeing her family and friends often. I've been supportive any way I can. I've taken care of all house chores, and I've been there for her every day. Here's where things get messy. She has an ex. Let's call him Luke. Luke is not just her ex. Luke is still friends with her, and her first love. They were high school sweethearts, and Luke was almost like another child to her parents. The death of her parents affected Luke a lot, too. Honestly, I didn't initially like the fact that they were friends, but I trust my wife and moved on from that feeling. Few days ago, my wife said she was going to go out with her family. I told her I could go with her, but she insisted on going alone. She didn't come back until the next morning. I tried to call her and call her family members, but no one knew where she was. When she did come back, she was a mess. I asked her where she was all night. She told me she screwed up so much. I tried to calm her down and told her to just tell what happened and that it's okay, she can talk to me. She said she slept with Luke. I didn't react much. I told her I need some time to think. She has apologized so many times now. I did eventually ask her what happened. She said she met up with Luke and they were both messes. They reminisce about her parents, which led to them remembering their relationship. They were both drinking and it just happened. I'm so conflicted right now. My wife is probably going through the worst time in her life, but I don't think I want to he with her now. I'm furious at her. Story 3. Today, my girlfriend is planning on cheating on me. What are the best options to catch her and prevent gaslighting? I-23. Male, have been dating my girlfriend, 24, female, for over a year. I've been the boyfriend that treated her the best, changed her lifestyle to be healthier, has her parents' approval, etc. She used to get abused and lied to in previous relationships. We are now away on a business trip. Not really business, but it's for my job. And we are staying at a hotel, which happens to be a state her ex-boyfriend from 3 relationships ago lives at. As said, this is a work trip, and I will need to leave the hotel for a few hours. And she has the entire place to herself. She has the option of accompanying me to my job out here, but has opted to stay at the hotel. Skipping forward, she's texting her ex, who she changed the contact name on her phone for, and they've already planned on meeting in the evening today. They will be meeting at the hotel that we're staying at. I'm not sure what my options are. My original plan is to let them meet and catch them in the hotel together, but when that happens, what next? Do I beat up the ex-boyfriend? Do I yell at her for cheating? Do I just act casual and say I came back to pick something up? The issue is, we're still here for 4 more days after, and her parents are expecting me to take care of her on this trip, so I can't just kick her out. I'd have to hear some BS sob stories for the next 4 days, and her trying to find a way to make it seem like she wasn't cheating. The other issue is, what if the ex bails and they don't meet up? She still had the intent to meet up with him. Do I just act like nothing was going to happen? She deletes the messages from her phone, so I'd have no living proof that it was going to happen. And then on top of it, she will know I went through her phone, which I normally don't do, but I just had that gut feeling that she'd do exactly this. As I knew from previous stories, she told me about this ex and that he lives in this exact state we're at. She claimed to have blocked this ex a long time ago, and about 6 months into the relationship, she accidentally unblocked him, which is how I caught him trying to call her. She blocked him after we discussed it, and I thought that was over. Now it's about 7 months later since then, and she's talking to him, has him as a girl's name on her phone and on DND so the messages don't pop up. Lastly, about a month ago, a waved at a high school friend female who used to be on my track and field team. I didn't try to engage in conversation, just a simple hi, as my girlfriend was right next to me, and we were walking in opposite directions. She went on a whole argument that it's disrespectful to even know other girls, to even say hi, to even look in the direction of another girl. Which brings me to how I saw the signs before. 'Cause now she's not only talking to a guy, she's planning on meeting up with him in a different state. One more thing. She thinks the hotel only had 1 key card, but I have the second one. Only problem is that if I were to even catch them in the act, she always used the extra lock from someone breaking in. How should I go about this if they're both inside the room, and she won't open the door? 'Cause obviously she'll get caught cheating. Story 4. Am I overreacting to think my wife is cheating? Throw away, of course. About 6 months ago, I noticed an undershirt folded up in my dresser drawer. The weird thing was that the label wasn't from any of the brands that I have, and there was only one of that kind. I tried it on, and it clearly didn't fit me. I assumed that it was an old shirt of mine that somehow got brought out of storage and tossed it. 2 months later, I find a pair of men's jeans, clearly not my size, folded on the top of the dresser. This was after I was at a conference for a few days. The conference was in my town, but I was gone from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. pretty much every day. I asked my wife about it and family who had visited recently. Nobody had any idea where they came from. I started to suspect something was up, but decided that it was in the best interest of my relationship to just ask once and then trust my wife's response. I tossed the jeans and moved on. This morning I found a men's polo shirt hanging in my closet. Not my size, and is brand from a store that I don't shop at and haven't even stepped foot into for nearly a decade. This, only days after I returned from an out-of-town work trip. I confronted my wife demanding answers. She claims that she knows nothing. I started by asking her why she thinks I'm upset. She jumped straight to, "You think I'm cheating." I asked her to put herself in my shoes and try to explain how else I could interpret this pattern, me being gone, men's clothing showing up in my house. She never answered the question. We went back and forth, never screaming or throwing things, for about an hour, with the shirt lying on the table between us. I kept saying that, "I don't know, is not an acceptable answer." She ended with, "Or what?" I said that I needed answers one more time and got straight up from the table and left to go back to work. Historically, I do trust her, but I can see how easily lies come out of her mouth when speaking to her family, over seemingly small things. She grew up in an overbearing household, and she knows how to cover her tracks. During the conversation, I asked if I could go through her cell phone, something I have never done before or even tried to do. Of course, nothing of note. Something is happening. The pattern is clear to me. Am I overreacting? How should I proceed? Edit. Thanks for the insight, folks. I've been internalizing all of this and trying to remain objective. It's easy to jump to a conclusion about cheating, and yes, the evidence does seem damning. There is some advice in the comments about next steps, and many with differing perspectives on what else could have happened. This has certainly helped me step back and assess the situation more clearly. We had a multiple hour-long conversation. She called my in-laws about the clothing. I called my folks with the same questions. I was given her phone to go through again. I even did some digging with the ISP to get connected devices and websites, texts from cell, etc. No answers anywhere. At the end of the day, I chose to not blow up my entire life, walk out, lawyer, take the kids and run, and instead chose to proceed with caution. If she is cheating, she knows she is going to be heavily scrutinized and will eventually be caught with actual evidence. If not, I avoided destroying my family over nothing. Lots of you will disagree with me, I'm sure. But this is my life, and there are nuances at play here that haven't been and won't be shared. Story 5. I discovered my boyfriend of 3 years is cheating. Tonight is the biggest night of his life. Help me. I, 25 female, discovered my boyfriend, 28 male of 3 years, is cheating. Tonight is the biggest night of his life. Help me. I won't go into all the gory details of our relationship. We were in love, and well, I still love him. But I found out, clearly he does not. I discovered proof that he has been cheating on me for a while, in the form of small home movies of them. I don't know the girl. And from the looks of their conversations, went ahead and post-discovery snooped. She has no idea I exist. Tonight is the biggest night of my boyfriend's life. He's receiving a state award at a big dinner with a few hundred people attending, from his mom and dad to councilmen and all of that. In fact, the only reason I discovered this transgression is because I have been putting together a little video for him to enjoy some of the key moments of his life. You know, typical sappy crap. I'm burdened with a lot of power right now, and I don't know if I have it in me to do the right thing, or if I even know the right thing. I'm blinded with tears of rage and sadness and betrayal. But at the same time, I love him, have loved him, and do I really want to do this? The relationship is over, no doubt about it. I am not a woman who will take her man cheating on her. Certainly not. That's not the issue. The issue is, there are cutesy selfies of the two of them. A lot of them, only shared between the two of them. Nothing lewd. There's plenty of that on camera, though. Do I sneak one in the snap reel as a way of letting him know that I know? Or do I simply confront him after his moment in the sun passes? I'm not going to pick up everything and leave without cutting contact. That's not my style, and it wouldn't make me feel good, just very sad. Do I do the witchy thing for once in my life? To anyone looking at the snap reel, it would just look like a picture of him and a friend, but to him and to me, it would be a private message, an outing. Help me, Reddit. I don't know what to do this time. Update. Well, it's been a month and a half since this all went down. I have gotten so many requests for an update, and I never intended to actually give one, honestly, because I was afraid of the fallout depending on what I ended up doing. So what did I do? I did the immature, vengeful thing, and I don't regret it. I took a few photos of the two of them. Tasteful photos that gave off no indication other than she might be a childhood friend. I slipped them into the snap reel, and I spoke kindly of him at the podium. Then, after my turn was finished, I walked out. I drove home feeling calm and in control. 20 minutes later, the text started. Where did I go? What did I know? Where did I find the photos? Was there more in store for him? I texted him, I know you've been screwing her, but there are no more photos. There weren't any, and of course I left it at that. He didn't come home that night, or the next. The next day he called me to ask me if we could meet and talk at a public location. I agreed to meet him at Starbucks. I arrived early, waited for him. He showed up a few minutes late and took the seat across from me. He started right off with the excuses, how it just happened, and he regrets it fully. She doesn't mean anything to him, and that she looked like a girl he had a crush on in high school and he was powerless against his teenage self. I didn't interrupt him, just let him have his time. When he was done and looking at me for a sign of what might happen next, all I could say was, So where did you stay the past few nights? Her house. And what did you do? He wouldn't answer. There hadn't been any doubt in my mind, really. I knew I was leaving him. He talked over himself, apologizing, begging for forgiveness, saying he'd change. I told him that I didn't want him to have to change himself. That if who he was, naturally, was someone who cheated on his girlfriend, then that's not someone I wanted to be with. He said that he was thinking of proposing to me, and all I could say after that was, good thing I found out before. Fast forward to a few weeks later. He's moved out and I am doing well. We have cut off contact. People ask me about him all the time and I just let them know he left me for a girl who looked like his high school crush. So that's the end. We are broken up. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. I don't feel any regret for how I handled it. Like one commenter said, there's no need to take the high road all the time. TLDR. I added the photos to the snap reel. He saw them. We broke up and are never getting back together. I don't regret my choice, only that I wasted 3 years with an overgrown child. Story 6. I am sure my wife just cheated on me. I 40 male think that last night my wife 43 cheated on me. We have been married 10 years, together for 13. She went out to buy some stuff for the home, which is weird, she hates doing that, and she went with a male friend I don't know. She stayed out for several hours. It was weird because she spent the day getting ready like it was a date. And when she was gone, I grew suspicious and checked around the room, and she had put on her sexy underwear meant just for our bedroom. I do all the child care, so I put the kids to bed. She showed up after and refused to tell me most of the details of the man she was with, and told me that in order to stay in our marriage, she needed some time that was just for her. She only told me his first name, and when I thought back, I had seen that name pop up in her texts for the last several months. I didn't think anything of it at the time because it's the name of a work friend she has, and they often need to reach out to one another after hours for big projects. I think that she has been slowly building up the courage to cheat on me. And over the last 2 months, our sex life has collapsed to zero, and she has grown extremely hostile, without any reason given, seemingly out of nowhere. Last week, she told me she doesn't want to be married, and it has nothing to do with me. An outrageous assertion. Before everyone says I don't do enough as a husband, I do 100% of the childcare, shopping, housework, and I work from home, though she is the primary breadwinner. I am emotionally available and mature, and I don't have a temper. I stay relatively fit and am attractive enough. I'm not controlling, I don't object at all to her having male friends. But this screams affair. I am utterly shattered, and I feel like I am dying. I don't even know how to talk to her about it. She has been so angry lately that communicating with her is a nightmare. This is a throwaway account. I am too ashamed to post it to my main. I want to divorce her, but that would break apart my children's home. If I file for divorce, would that make me the asshole? Update. My wife and I talked. She admitted that she had been talking to this guy for a while and had intended to have a sexual encounter, but found him to be so lacking, she decided not to. Apparently, he had emotions and wanted a relationship, so she talked with him, bought some of his art, and left. She is still going to hang out with him, but she isn't interested in him anymore, apparently. I asked if she wanted an open relationship. She said yes. I asked if we would ever have sex again. She said probably not. She said she just doesn't want to be in a relationship with anyone or have sex with anyone anymore. But if she does decide to, she doesn't want to feel caged, especially after her most recent disappointment, but she wants to keep our family together. So I have a permanent hall pass, and I don't ever have to explain where I was or who I was with, she said. That is only fair, and I agreed, and she wants the same. I can't force her to stay married or monogamous, and I don't want a divorce. So we are roommates now with a legally binding lifetime contract and joint finances. And apparently I am now in an open relationship. A very sad day for me, but maybe not the worst outcome. I assume a lot of people will say she was lying, but it sounded honest, and for the first time in months, she wasn't mad at me. She was being direct, and whether she cheated or not wouldn't change anything, because she had intended to and had emotionally cheated, so that trust is gone either way. So I was right, sort of, and now my marriage is over, sort of. And that's just how life goes, I guess. I will need some time to process this. Feel free to comment if you like. It has been a rough 3 days. Update number 2, Preamble. So I have decided to treat this post kind of like a journal. You guys have been so helpful and kind, mostly, and it has helped me keep a level head during this process. Thank you all for that. My wife came to me crying. She said she doesn't know why she tried to destroy our life together. She says she loves me so much, and I am the perfect husband, and she has the perfect life, and she just couldn't handle it and tried to destroy it. She has agreed to counseling. She apparently doesn't want to lose me. She says doesn't want anyone else, and she wants to do what she needs to for me to forgive her. She says we can keep the marriage open if I want. I said okay. She asked if I needed to see other people, and I said I don't know. She said she understood and started crying again. Later, she tried to initiate sex, and I stopped her. She had on her sexy undies. Seeing them again made me feel sick. She wore them for another man not even a week ago, trying to destroy our marriage. I feel like all my walls are 100% up right now. My kids noticed her behavior towards me change this morning when I was getting them ready for school. She was very affectionate and saying nice things to me. My kids were so happy on the way into school. My daughter said, "I am so glad that Mom is being herself again. Isn't that great?" I said, "Yeah, you guys. I am so tired." Update 3. My wife went out again on Friday, This time she seemed really pensive, not excited at all. She stayed out a little longer, but came home at a reasonable hour. If I did not know what she had been up to previously, I would not have been suspicious. I assume she broke up with her boyfriend. Saturday morning, she canceled all her future dates of all kinds. Everything social was off her calendar, and she replaced them with family activities with me and the kids. She still wouldn't tell me who this man was or discuss him at all. I decided to leave it alone for a while to gather my thoughts. We went on a family trip yesterday. It was fun. And today we are all going to do family games and hang out. My wife's behavior has changed very dramatically, and she is playing the caring wife, saying nice things to me and sending me positive messages when I am in a different room, touching my arm, all the things. A fairly dramatic shift from the extreme hostility she has been showing me for months. But I have been badly burned, so I couldn't trust it. I decided that I was calm enough to figure out who this guy was. So I went looking, and with the help of a dear friend, we figured it out. See, she had purchased something from him, and that was enough information to figure out who he was, how they met, and how this all began. Now I am going to be vague, as this would maybe be identifying, and I don't need that in my life, especially if I plan on divorcing. But he followed her on a social media service, and she didn't follow him back. He never once posted publicly on her social media, and she never liked or commented on any of his stuff. My wife's social media contains pictures of me and our children, almost exclusively of our children, a couple pictures of me, and only a handful of pictures of my wife. For complicated reasons, her social media has a larger following than most personal social media accounts, which made finding him a real pain in the ass. This piece of crap saw my kids and me and my wife and thought, I bet those kids would love 2 Christmases. That's the guy my wife cheated on me with. He is older than me, by more than a decade, but very fit and very tall, like a freaking meme. The worst part? She had not blocked him. So it isn't over, it is just on the back burner. I have decided not to mention it. I don't want her to hide it better. I want to know what's going on as I collect evidence for filing for divorce. I don't need evidence, but for my own peace of mind, and so that I can grieve, I will finish constructing the puzzle that is my wife's infidelity. I will also focus on self-care and stay away from vices. I could definitely see myself getting drunk and high every night in response to this, so I should not do that. I can't file just yet, for complicated financial reasons, but I will be keeping my appointment with the divorce lawyer to explore my options. Until then, we will see. I have zero trust in my wife. I never thought I would find myself in this position. I don't know what I will do afterwards. I haven't dated in almost 15 years. How does it even work now? Thank you for all the members of the community who have reached out to me, even the mean ones. All of you have taken the time to engage with me when I could not be anything but self-centered in my own grief, and I appreciate you. I will continue updating as I go. Update 4. I decided to take a few days and headed to my parents' house. My wife watched the children while I went over and spoke with my folks. After hearing about the situation, my sister joined us. My parents are hugely supportive of whatever I choose, though my mom thinks I should get a divorce and has several good divorce lawyers already picked out. She really could not hide her excitement that I might be divorcing my wife. And my father thinks we should work it out and offered to pay for any and all mental health services we need for me, the wife, and the kids. My parents have been married for a very long time, and I always wanted a long, stable marriage like they had. My mother commented that I always did like complicated relationships with difficult women, and that your wife has been torturing you for months. Everyone has been so worried about you. Which feels about right. They needed a ton of landscaping done, so my sister and I spent the whole time doing landscaping and talking. The weather was finally nice, and I had 2 days of clearing my head and being around people that love me and getting exercise. By the time I got home, I had completely forgot my horrible situation. My wife even greeted me when I got home and seemed very excited to see me. I was happy to believe for a moment that this was my life, gleeful kids and a happy wife greeting me at the door. It felt really good. I smelled terrible and was covered in dirt. I did not shower while I was over there. They only have one bar of Dove soap that they share, which was how it was when I was a kid, and honestly, I would just rather stay dirty. So I went to get changed in my room. The guest bedroom, where I now live, instead of in a room with my wife, and let me tell you, it all came flooding back. Just a deep ache and a sadness that the person upstairs was completely different a week and a half ago and could just as easily flip right back. We are currently in a holding pattern where my wife just looks at me wondering what I will do and tries to be on her best behavior, which she is already looking exhausted by. And I try to stabilize my emotional state well enough to make it through each day without incident. Either way, I have been getting a lot of attention online and in real life from potential suitors. There are a surprising number of women of all age groups who seem to really enjoy what I am about and how I look. I really did not know that there was this much interest. I am going to start scheduling dates in the next few weeks. I don't know if it is a good idea or not. I don't know if there is anything out there worth finding. But I do know that sitting around my house being sad all the time is no kind of life. Oh, and my mom offered to watch my children while I went out on dates. Though she doesn't approve of it, if it brings me closer to getting rid of my wife, she will help me do it. That woman is such a trip. Again, thank you everyone for your support and encouragement. My updates will likely be less frequent going forward unless something exciting happens. Real life is rarely this complicated and interesting in real time. Thank goodness for that. Update 5. Well, it has been a few more weeks, and I said I would use this as a journal of sorts, and so I shall. Last weekend I went out dancing. My wife watched the kids, and I went out and had an amazing time. I went out by myself and just met and danced with whomever came along. I was out till 2 a.m., and when I got home, my wife was waiting up for me. She pretended that she had insomnia, but I could tell she wanted to see when I would get home or if I would come home at all. The more I do things only for myself and my own enjoyment, the more she seems to want to be in the marriage. I gave up so much to make the family stable, raise the kids, keep the home, but never talked about that or made a big deal out of it. Now that I am going out and doing irresponsible and impulsive things, now she likes me again. This is genuinely confusing to me. My wife and I have been working on our communication a lot, spending most of our downtime hanging out with each other and trying to figure out how to talk to one another and understand one another better. I am already in therapy, and that is helping. My wife has expressed an urgent need for her to attend therapy, but is worried that her current therapist might not be able to help her. I think her current therapist is one of the best in the state and one of the only ones that my wife respects, so she needs to give her another go. This hesitancy on her part is a small problem now, but might end up being a major problem in the future. I have insisted on us disentangling our finances, so her and I will have our own accounts, which will each receive equal money each month, and then a joint account for bills. Plus, an additional account for vacation plans. Building up a separate account will free me from years of financial abuse in the form of her insisting on bankrolling her impulsive purchases from the accounts where I am attempting to build up savings. I will begin saving a safety net if I decide to pull the trigger on divorce. All the paperwork is set up, I just need to decide to move forward or not. The relationship is continuing to go well, apart from a couple of minor incidents. My wife has been largely positive. She expresses love for me fairly regularly, and even the pitch of her voice is higher and more feminine around me than it had been for the last year. A subtle sign that she is finding me more attractive, which feels nice but doesn't impact me the way it used to. She also seems much happier in general, and she hasn't disrespected me once or been unkind or hurtful since she did her turnaround. She clearly was actively sabotaging the marriage, as without her antagonism, the house seems to run great. It could have always been a happy home, but she decided she wanted it to be a nightmare. Having this post has helped remind me of the terrible pain of trusting my wife. I don't like making the same mistakes twice. I am pretty obviously not healed, and some of my sadness has turned to resentment, which is not healthy. But I am still struggling to be just okay, which is harder than it sounds. So that's it for this update. Thank you again, everyone, for the kind words and support. I will likely be going out dancing every weekend for the near future. I am trying to set up plans for a vacation. My wife wants to do our honeymoon this summer, which we never got to take. We were too poor and too busy being parents to our 2 young kids at the time when we first got married, so we never went on our honeymoon. I believe that she is hoping to rekindle something. We shall see. I haven't done any official dates yet, but I have had some women I have met in my day-to-day activities outside the house flirt pretty aggressively with me. Also, I had a married couple around my age try to pick me up when I was out dancing. I entertained it. But my life is already more complicated than I would like, and that seemed like a big bite to take so soon into my little adventure. So I ended up turning them down, but not definitively. We shall see. I have spent the time since initially posting lifting weights pretty aggressively and have lost about 10 pounds of fat and gained some muscle. So I am pretty summer ready. I am going to continue working on myself and doing what I need to in order to meet my own needs. I will update again when I have something to say. Until then, be kind to yourself. Update 6? Father's Day was a nightmare. My wife had a huge emotional outburst right away in the morning and had been getting pretty angry and reclusive leading up to Father's Day, which is nothing new. It turns out that her mother had called her first thing in the morning to remind her that her father abandoned them and that she should celebrate her on Father's Day. My wife's response was to have a breakdown and take it out on me in front of the children and then retreat back to her room. She eventually apologized, but whatever. It wasn't the worst Father's Day ever. Even though I had neither presents, nor cards, nor events, nor kind words from my wife, my kids gave me lots of hugs and told me they valued me. So that was lovely. Our marriage had been slowly improving, and our discussions have become more frequent and open, though we still have not directly revisited the affair. A couple of days before Father's Day, my wife shared with me her intention to take advantage of our open relationship status at some later date. She told me that she was just not a monogamist like you are. I told her that I wasn't interested in that kind of marriage, and she said, "Well, I guess that makes me a slut. Are you gonna stay married to a slut?" To which I replied, "I guess for now." Then she hit me with a real big piece of information. "Well, I thought you weren't monogamous too for a while." So apparently she thought I had cheated on her, and because our communication is so poor, she decided to make our relationship open as a response, and then went out with this other dude. She just didn't inform me until after she had completely mentally and physically left the relationship. After I initially confronted her about the affair, she realized that I had never been unfaithful, and that's why she had such a huge turnaround. She was having a revenge affair against me, but I had never been unfaithful. She still won't specify what made her think I had an affair. I assume it was when I was spending a ton of time doing volunteer work. There is a lot to explore there, but after that the conversation broke down and she retreated to her room. I don't actually think she is interested in an open marriage. I honestly believe she just had an affair and is still doing this open marriage to justify her behavior to herself. She would absolutely have another affair to prove that this is what she wants, rather than admit that she had an initial affair out of misplaced malice and insecurity. I have been going out on weekends, dancing mostly, and meeting fun people, and she stays up to see when I get home, and is deeply jealous the day before and after. No dates exactly, just meeting people and having fun dancing and talking. Nothing in her behavior says that she would do anything other than collapse completely if I was sexually involved with another person. Clearly, she needs to go to individual therapy. I am already seeing an individual therapist, but so far our sessions have been mostly me just explaining what has been going on. Since the subject matter is so dense, I don't know if there is a path forward here. I know she has gone back to referring to me as her husband, and there is some physical touch reappearing in our relationship, though I am the hesitant one this time. Also, she has clearly done the initial STD and 6-week follow-up doctor's visits. She said she needed a doctor's visit for shots 1 week after the obvious affair, and then went for more shots 6 weeks later, which is the timeline for a follow-up, claiming a need for different vaccines. Pretty unbelievable coincidence, and I am not stupid enough to believe it. It also shows that she is maintaining a willingness or need to lie to me. I am still getting my duck in a row and planning for a divorce, but honestly, it is difficult. In order to not tip my hand, I need to keep my guard up. But if I keep my guard up, I can't heal the marriage. So here I am. Planning for a divorce is the most likely way to make it happen. So that's probably the road I am on. Sorry if this update isn't super focused. I am using it more as a journal, so it might be progressively less focused as time goes on. Thanks everyone who keeps sharing their insights and support. This has been and continues to be a weird journey, but my anger has largely subsided and I am starting to feel more myself. And I think a large part of that has been me being able to share this as I go. Update 7. Things are finally improving. The man she had an affair with tried to reach out publicly on her social media. He was upset that she had been ignoring his messages. She did not block him, just ghosted him, and made their affair public. I had finally had enough. Being publicly embarrassed was just too much for me, as if the shame and indignity of the affair was not enough. I realized the irony of that given this post, but I have worked to keep myself anonymous in telling my story. I told my wife to leave for a week. I didn't care where she went, but she wasn't welcome in the house until last night. I told her that she didn't appreciate me, the work I did, the family I built around her, or our lives together, and I wanted her to experience a week without it. I wanted her to feel what the divorce would be like. Honestly, I had one of the best weeks I have had all year. I played with my kids without having to deal with her bullcrap. I hung out with friends and family without her being there to sabotage anything. My stress was way lower. I was just happier. I could not be any lonelier than I already was, so that remained largely unchanged. I didn't have to coordinate with her while she constantly changed her mind. It was really great. The kids were happier too. They had nightly good nights with their mom. I would never stop them from talking to their mother. They need 2 parents, over the phone, but otherwise their stress level seemed way lower. She stayed in a hotel and worked during the days. She picked up extra shifts for the weekend just to not have free time at the hotel. When she got home yesterday, she was extremely huggy, a deeply unusual behavior for her, and this morning she even made me coffee and brought it to me. She gave me several hugs and kisses and told me what an amazing husband and father I am and how much she needs me in her life and misses me. She is so apologetic and will start her therapy now. I know this process is likely to take a long time and have ups and downs throughout, but this is the first time I have any hope for any future together. As an aside, I am hitting the gym a lot, so my physical health is really improving, and the therapy is helping me to figure out what I want and to stand up for myself more effectively. I deserve to be in a relationship that I feel loved and valued in, and if this relationship is not loving, then I need to give myself permission to leave, not just for the kids, but for me. Having individual needs is okay. That is something I need to work on. Update 8. I have had a couple requests for an update, so here it goes. The wife and I are slowly growing our communication. I have been going out more on my own, exercising a ton. Honestly, I haven't looked this good in a decade. When I go out, I have been getting a lot of female attention, which feels nice. Never had people ask me for my Insta before, but that's apparently how young women tell you that they are interested. Things are stabilized, but the marriage is either dead or on life support, and with neither of us pushing to keep it alive, it looks like it will just kind of fizzle out. It is a pretty good practical arrangement for both of us right now. I care for the children and keep the house and cook and manage everything on the home front, and she works and gets a lot of downtime to pursue her hobbies. We both feel like we are getting what we need. There is no longer a significant physical relationship, but that's okay. I don't really want to be with her sexually anymore, so I don't feel neglected. Getting divorced would also severely compromise our finances right when we are getting on our feet. Staying only works in my favor, since the home is no longer a source of stress, and I am free to pursue other relationships. Also, the longer I put off the divorce, the better it will be for me financially when I do file. So from a practical position, I have no reason to divorce right now. So for now, I am staying. I don't really care that she cheated on me anymore, or at least I have stopped reacting to it. I learned the lesson that she is not the person I imagined her to be. I still love my wife, but that betrayal hurt too much. I no longer want to do any of the husbandly things with her. She is more like a friend I live with. In the meantime, I have made a lot of new friends with my open marriage status, and I will be exploring things with them going forward. It turns out that telling women that you are married but available is the opposite of a deal breaker. My wife seems to not be pursuing anything outside of the marriage with anyone else, but I am not keeping track. It just doesn't matter to me anymore. Also, the number of women out there looking to cheat on their husbands is shocking. Don't worry, I would never be a party to that hurt. But holy crap, is it scandalous. I had no idea, and it's all the same. Their stories could just be my wife telling them. They are bored, their life is stable, they want a spark, blah, blah, blah. Go talk to your husbands and work through it. Don't go screw some guy in a nightclub. Just unmitigated selfishness. My trust in women has collapsed during this experience. So that's the update. My mental health is pretty good. I have weekly mental health appointments. I am physically doing very well, and I feel peace starting to come back into my life again. My kids seem happy, and we have been spending all summer playing sports together and video games and going to fun places and gardening. They love that their parents are getting along and that their mother isn't angry all the time and their father doesn't look like he is about to die from stress. My wife is happy in her work and with her hobbies, and our interactions are mostly positive. Our communication has gone from non-existent to acceptable, which is a huge step up. I don't have hope that my marriage can ultimately be saved, but right now it is a shelter for me, where I can rest and gather my thoughts, build my life how I like it. Sorry, I know there are a lot of people rooting for me, but honestly, I am doing pretty well. I will keep you guys updated on any big changes. Until then, I wish you all the happiness that you can stand. Story 7. He cheated. He really cheated. Update on my profile. I'm on mobile and typing through my tears. Yesterday, I 26 female got a hey girly DM from an old college friend G27 female about my husband, R28. As far as I knew, she was living in a different city, but apparently she moved to our city like 8 months ago. She sent me screenshots of their messages and their sexts and had selfies of them after they screwed. Why? I've been busy at work and admittedly not spending as much time at home, but he's the love of my life, and I never thought he could do something like this. I confronted R and he admitted it right away. He said it was supposed to be a one-time thing. He and G met up for dinner when she moved, but things progressed, so they started dating. Yes, dating. She had no idea about me. He doesn't post me on his socials because his online presence is dedicated to his personal fitness business, so she just assumed he was a fit, handsome, single guy. He never mentioned me once. It was only when G started mentioning marriage and kids that R got nervous and dodgy and mentioned trouble with his ex-wife if they were to get married. The ex-wife being me, his wife of 4 years. She mentioned this because, drum roll, she's 3 months pregnant. Thinking they were exclusive, she hasn't slept with anyone else, which means the baby is his. His. She Googled my name and found out that not only were we together, we were freaking married. 4 years of marriage, 3 more years of dating, down the drain. I told R to get the heck out and he tried to argue, but he knew he had no chance. He's staying at a friend's house, and after lurking on Reddit for so long, I texted him my entire reason for kicking him out, and he sent an apology reply admitting to everything, so I have it all in writing. I'm still messaging G, She feels totally awful about the whole situation, and I really feel for her. We've actually become close in the last day or two, as weird as that sounds. But we're both in the middle of some trauma, and leaning on each other has helped. I'm leaving him, if that wasn't clear. G has also said she wants nothing to do with R except child support. I texted him to come over tomorrow to talk, and he said he would, and I contacted a lawyer this morning and sent her everything I have. She replied after about 2 hours and said this case wouldn't be a problem. Basically, it was a slam dunk. She also offered to mention the case to a colleague in family court, but G hasn't made her mind up about that yet. She's just as overwhelmed about this as I am. I'm just grateful I didn't have kids with this son of a witch, and I'm still young and hot while R's a gross cheating cheater. Anyway, not really looking for advice here. I'm aware of my way forward. Just wanted to get this true off my chest. Edit. I genuinely thank you all for the advice regarding G. I'll be cutting contact after she gets her test results back. Edit 2. You all were right. G is up to something. Tomorrow, once I've had some sleep, I'll update further. But thank you all for your advice. Update 1. I guess this got deleted in the other sub, so here's the update. Well, what an update I have for you all. Last night, I got into a huge argument with R over the phone talking about how I'm a witch for breaking up with him and plenty of other nasty things. Through the night, I was anxious and insomniac, so as per so much of your advice, I started distancing myself from G. She sensed this and things blew up. She went into a rage and told me she had known about me. She knew I got married through mutual friends on Instagram. My profile is private, but friends and family posted about the wedding, so G saw our wedding photos. G texted me this morning after waking up to so many texts. She called me a fake witch who makes up circumstances and lies about details. I blocked her after that. In my post and my texts, I was as accurate as possible without divulging too many details. I was also feeling petty from lack of sleep, so I did tag R in an IG story telling everyone he was a cheater, and a few people responded saying they unfollowed/blocked him. I deleted it after 3 hours, but I know there were screenshots taken and the damage has been done. He called early this morning asking to talk, but I said everything was better said over text, so I had receipts, and he obliged. He basically said he'd accept divorce and he'd give me almost everything I asked for. Namely our TV and my car, since he'd contributed to some payments. We don't have many flashy things other than our gaming consoles, and neither of us are interested in the others. This obviously wasn't legally binding, but I'd imagine it's good ammo in the divorce. R came by before work to get a bunch of his things, and we were able to talk face to face. He apologized and asked, almost begged, for my forgiveness. Remembering comments about my dignity, I politely but firmly declined. He actually took this pretty well and asked me if I had any questions. I asked him, what the heck happened? According to R, G contacted him before she even moved. As many suspected, she knew about me from the beginning but simply didn't care. She didn't say outright that she was trying to get pregnant, but she gloated to her friends about having unprotected sex with R many times, so it's definitely suspicious as heck. He said he just couldn't resist her. To be quite frank, Reddit, I'm hotter than her. There's no question. That is the one thing about this whole situation that brings me a bit of light. Oh, and as predicted by so many of you, G and R are apparently still in a relationship. They're planning on keeping the baby and, get this, 2 or 3 hours after I wrote this out, he posted the gender reveal on his public Instagram. Like I never freaking existed. He's trying to get rent money from me, but there's not a chance in heck I'll be giving a cent to him. In fact, I'll be taking nearly everything. He knows he doesn't stand a chance at getting any of the furniture that I paid for or the vinyls I bought. Screw him. So many comments gave great advice, and I'm so grateful. I've officially cut off G and am in the process of cutting off R outside the divorce. I'm living comfortably by myself in our apartment. I have a decent salary, so I can afford it. But I let our landlord know that I'll be ending the lease in 2 months. He has a studio available, but I'm not sure I'll take it. For now, I'm in contact with my lawyer who says this whole process can be done in 6 months if everything goes well. I have a ton of hope for my future, and I truly appreciate all of you who commented on my first post. I might post a further update or I might not. Regardless, I will get a happy ending and I'll be able to start fresh without him. Good riddance. TLDR. Everyone's exhausted from lack of sleep. My husband and his affair partner are together and just got through screwing around and now they're in the process of finding out. Update 2. Hey, I wanted to give a quick update before I leave this account for a while. We'll perhaps check in periodically after a few drinks, LOL. Divorce is in the works. G is still pregnant. R's things are out of my house. To say my landlord understood would be an understatement, and I'm able to stay in my current place. Spoiler, I'm going to end up on top. Sorry this isn't the juicy update some of you were anticipating, but the fact remains that I'm better for this whole crap show, and moving on means becoming stronger. Thanks for all your support, everyone. I've kept this login info, so I hope to update you. Reminder, you're loved and you matter. Love always. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Cheater Meter. Your support means everything. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the next wild story. Until next time, stay real, stay strong, and remember, the truth always comes out. See you soon.